you can control is your state of mind. You can't control the weather. You can't control other people. You can't even control your health. You might get a brain hemorrhage. You might get hit by a bus. One of the very few things in the world you have genuine control over is your state of mind. You decide if you're a disciplined person. You decide if you're a happy person. You decide if you're a depressed person. These are things that in real time you can affect in your brain. This is all you can control on Earth. If you can't control that, then you're just a feather in the wind. And life's gonna blow you around, and you might land somewhere good, you might land in dog shit, nobody knows. Your state of mind is what you should be able to control. If you can't wake up and say, today I'm making some money, and actually try your very, very best, and actually stay dedicated to that task. If you can't do that, you're fucked.
The human mind is a massively misunderstood and underused chemical factory. That's all it is. It's the reason you feel happy. It's the reason you feel sad. It's the reason you feel excited. It's only chemicals in your brain. And I think if you try and take conscious control of your mind and force yourself to feel what you want, when you want, you can truly start to feel emotions on command. I don't think that men should ever consider how happy they are. I think that for a man, the paradigm of analyzing yourself based on your mood is an incorrect way to approach life. I don't think it makes you competitive. I just don't think it makes you competitive. I feel like as a man, life is ultra competitive and you're constantly competing against other men, whether you realize it or not. The girl you want, other men want. If you get her, it's a competition. The dollar you want, other men want. If you get it, it's a competition. The status you want, other men want. If you get it, you won the competition. Man, life as a man is hyper competitive, and you need to build a mindset that allows you to compete at the highest echelons, at the highest levels. And in my experience, people who compete at the highest levels are not people who have any concern or care for how they feel on the day. You are a man with duties, you're a man with responsibilities, you must perform, you have things you must do, and you must do them regardless of how you feel. Whether you feel happy or you feel sad, you must still train. So considering it's not going to affect your actions, why even take it into consideration at all? Why does it matter? I don't look at myself and go, how do I be happy? I look at myself and go, how do I succeed and do everything I want to do and become competent and be successful? That's what I'm worried about, achieving my goals daily. Happiness is a byproduct. It's a side piece. But if you're going to wake up and go, I want to be happy, well, yeah, to a degree it's feminine. It's also very childish because only women and children are so obsessed with happiness. But it doesn't make you competitive, because if you're concerned with being happy, that means you're only going to perform when you feel like it. That means you can't outcompete the men who perform every day regardless. And that's why, as a man, you need to be building a mindset that makes you as competitive as possible. And I think that considering happiness as a concept, as an ideal, as an idea in and of itself is a bad idea. It doesn't even cross my mind if I'm happy. It doesn't even cross my mind. I got shit to do.
Every man understands you shouldn't be complaining about things you cannot change. You have to play the cards you're dealt. To be born a certain height and then to sit there and go, what do I do? I'll tell you what you do. You become the best version of yourself, just like everyone else does. Nothing about the height is in and of itself enough value for me to be a valuable man. As a man, you build your value. You are born with the cards you're dealt. Sure, it'd be ideal. Look, I'd love to be 7 foot tall. I'm not. So it's the same argument. If you're 5'2", you need to become rich, strong, and funny, and charismatic, and interesting, and witty. If you're 6'4", you need to become rich, strong, well-connected. It's the same game. So to sit there and complain about it is asinine.
People email me their long lists of all the bad things that happened to them, and I reply, fantastic. You are so lucky. You have all the building blocks to become the exact kind of man you want to be. If none of this shit happened to you, when something else bad happens to you later, you wouldn't be able to deal with it. Fantastic. Bad things happened to Batman. They killed his parents. Do you understand? That's why he's Batman. You've just told me you have the building blocks. You might become top G when I retire. What are you complaining about? He goes, well, what do I do? I said, you need to work. Take all that trauma. If you're truly heartbroken, my friend, and we've all been there as men, if you're truly heartbroken, you can't sleep. That means you're going to get in fantastic shape. You better hit the gym. You have nothing else to do. Stop watching YouTube. Stop emailing me. I want pictures of you in the gym. Get to fucking work. Heartbreak's a fantastic motivator, as is depression, as is sadness. Great. Look at what's pissing you off and make sure it never happens again. If you were jacked and rich as fuck, you probably wouldn't have left your ass.
All of you have a head full of pieces. I don't think you understand that. You could have been in a car crash at 4 years old and lost your legs. Do you have any understanding of how lucky you have been? This is pure luck. There's only luck has kept you fully able-bodied, sitting there, capable of learning and listening and becoming something. You don't really need to be that tall if you're important and rich, and when you walk in the room, you think when fucking Mayweather walks in the room, people give a shit? Fix that frame in your mind. You are viewing yourself as a short man. Stop it. Walk the fuck up and be the man.
I was a 4-time kickboxing world champion. For 12 years, I trained 5 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I was motivated to train probably about 25% of the time. The rest of the time, I went because I am disciplined. You don't feel like going through that shit on a Wednesday morning when you wake up, but you have to do it because you're disciplined. You're either a disciplined individual or you are not a disciplined individual. There's a difference between want and want. And I say this all the time. People say to me, I want to be rich. And I say, okay, well, I want to be able to ice skate. But I don't want to be able to ice skate enough to go learn how to ice skate because I can't be bothered. I mean, surely if I could click my fingers and be a figure skater, I'd click my fingers. Who wouldn't? But I don't want to actually go train because I don't want it enough. And this is the exact point with money. Everyone wants money put on their lap. If you truly wanted money, you wouldn't be able to sleep until you fucking had it. And this is the point. Because when I had nothing, I couldn't be distracted. You couldn't distract me from what I wanted. That's who I am. If I want something, I'm going to get it. I do not need to be motivated. I'm a disciplined person. If I allocate X amount of time to work, I'm going to do it. But that is the bottom line answer. It's discipline. You're going to have to work when you don't feel like working. That's how it's going to have to be, or you're never going to be eating.
The idea that men don't feel emotions is incorrect. We feel emotions. I would actually argue we feel emotions with certain emotions stronger than women. I would argue that we feel heartbreak stronger than women. I would argue we feel anger like a woman could never understand. I would argue we are extremely emotional. Rage, pure rage. It's feedback. So when you get the feedback, it's all about how you internalize that and how you process it, right? It's having, stoicism's not feeling emotions. It's feeling the emotion and going, okay, why is this happening? How much does this really matter? What's the most intelligent move on the chessboard? Chess is a fantastic game because in the game of chess, there's no luck. If you lose, no matter how well you played, if you lose, at some point you made a mistake. Even if it's the most minor mistake, you made a mistake. So you learn to understand that no matter what happens to you, if you lose a scenario, you made a mistake. Maybe it's a tiny one, maybe it was 2 years ago, whatever, but you made a mistake and you learn absolute and utter accountability for yourself. And that mentality is extremely powerful to apply to all things in life. The position I'm in now as the most hated man in the world, although I agree and I truly believe it's unfair, I still take complete responsibility for. I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm telling you why it happened when I talk about TikTok and YouTube Shorts, but I'm not going to blame them. Absolutely, they're a company making money and they're monetizing the best they can. Fantastic. All of this is my fault. But the Bugatti on my drive is my fault. And the yacht is my fault. The private jet's my fault. So it's all my fault. So I take the good with the bad. I take all responsibility for absolutely everything, including if a woman leaves me, if a woman stays, if I end up heartbroken, if I end up filled with rage, I take responsibility for that. If something happens to me that makes me enraged, I will take responsibility. Why has this happened to me?
person. I don't do drugs. I don't gamble. I don't do prostitutes. I don't do anything that hedonistic. But I'll certainly go on the yacht with a bunch of women I know and chill and have some vodkas and that kind of thing. When life's smooth, then it's semi-hedonistic, pretty relaxed. But when I make my biggest progress, when I really change who I am and change the world, that's when everything's fucked. When things go wrong, or I'm feeling things I don't want to feel, or bad things are happening, that's when I'm like, okay, I currently cannot sleep. I've completed the day's tasks. I've tried to go to bed. I can't sleep. More shit has to be done. That's when the amazing things happen in my life. When I was heartbroken, when I was whatever, everyone's been heartbroken. I can't remember a specific example. I hit the gym harder, right? If something goes wrong with your payment processor, that's when you get fucking inventive. That's business, right? That's when you get inventive. So all the bad things that happen to you as a man, if you're stoic, you get to take unlimited energy. Heartbreak is unlimited energy. So is depression. So is rage. So is sadness. All these negative emotions they tell you to collapse behind. It's like, people talk like, Bruce Lee says, be like water. And people see that as be fluid and just go with the flow. I disagree. If you're like water, you're necessary for life. You are scary when you're enraged. You're powerful. You're beautiful when you're calm. You're so many things when you're like water, right? So if I'm enraged, it's like water behind a dam. You just got to put the dam in place, and you got to get the turbo, the hydroelectrics put in. Don't tsunami your life. Put the energy somewhere.
Let's say your son comes to you. He's 14. He says, Dad, what's the best piece of advice you can give me right now?
I feel like you should just always act like you're being watched by people you really respect and love. And it doesn't matter if it's in the gym, they're watching you to see how hard you train, or in that job interview, they're watching you to see how you perform, see how confident you can be, watch you put your suit on, make sure your tie's straight. I feel like you need to have a sense of duty to people who existed before you or who have given up their lives so you exist. And you need to try very hard to make sure your last name means something important. So the best advice I can give is just keep in mind there's a whole bunch of people who love you, who are looking out for you, who really care about you, and who have done a lot for you to exist as a person. And you owe them a lot of things, and you owe them your absolute best in all realms. You owe them to try your hardest and to not disappoint them. And you don't get the luxury of just existing and sitting around playing video games and being happy, being sad, eating food, whatever. All of that's by the by. You have a big debt to pay to your family, to your ancestors, to God, and you have to try very hard. And keep that in mind and let that motivate you to be your best.